Fast food, fast fashion, living life in the fast lane. It is no doubt that we are living in an intensely fast-paced society. If that's the case, however, why are so many of us craving the slow life? Hey there friends, it's Carly. Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new here, and welcome to another Coffee and Conversations episode, where today we're going to be talking about the idea of slow living, the slow living movement, what it is, what it isn't, and how you can kind of achieve it in your own life. So if that's something you're keen to see, grab yourself a cuppa and let's get into the video. When I was starting to think about what really embodies the slow living movement and slow living lifestyle, I also wanted to think about the antithesis of that. What is slow living not? Therefore, what is fast living? Fast living is definitely about convenience factor. Obviously, we live in a society where it's so easy to buy things online. You get them delivered to you straight away. You can, buy your fast food. You can get things that are pre-chopped and pre-packaged, and it's just super easy and quick and fast. And I think in a lot of that convenience, the quality of food and products and services and all of these different things is certainly lost, and we're getting things done or getting things delivered or getting things made in a much timely fashion, but we're definitely losing the beauty and the richness that comes with things being created and made and developed slowly. Fast living is also like a sense of stress and chaos. It's like endless to-do lists and rushing and mindless scrolling and mindless doing of things and mindless conversations. There's like a very much a lack of intention and heart and emotion when I think about fast living. It's striving, it's success, it's definitely about more status, more money, more possessions. Definitely consumerism plays a lot into that sort of fast living mindset. And I think when we think of like fast fashion and fast food and being able to buy things so easily online, consumerism is such a massive part of that. And I guess so because we're consuming so much, then our need for more finances is even greater, because we have to earn more in order to sustain this lifestyle and this image that we've created. Fast living has definitely created an epidemic of burnt out, stressed out people, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of our health and our mental health issues that we're experiencing today are so influenced by the stress and the fast-paced nature of our modern lifestyle. So if that is what fast living is, then what exactly is slow living? Well, really it's kind of the opposite of all of those things. It's really mindful, it's intentional, it's both a lifestyle and like way of living, but also a way of thinking and doing and being as well. It's all about connection, whether it's connection to others through meaningful conversations, meaningful relationships, but also really connection to nature. I feel we learn so much about the true meaning of slow living when we just sit and observe nature, because it is so slow, but it's so rhythmic and it's so beautiful in its patterns as well. Slow living is about cultivating a sense of purpose and doing things purely for fun. It's not just about doing things because they're on a to-do list or for some sort of external gratification, but about just doing things for the pure enjoyment of it. So having hobbies that you just do just because they're fun and you're not necessarily attached to the outcome of those hobbies is such an important thing in cultivating slow living in your everyday life. Obviously, if consumerism is a major facet of the fast living ethos and lifestyle, consuming less is certainly one way to adopt slow living in your life. And also to be more mindful about, if you are purchasing things, how were they made? Slow living is also living with less things because you know that you don't need them and your identity is not attached to material possessions. And I think with having that connection to nature and reverence for nature, obviously being more mindful of the things that you contribute is so important, because we know that everything that we do, buy and consume and ultimately get rid of returns back to the natural environment where it cannot be broken down, and it's oftentimes just causing so much pollution and so much havoc. And I think it's definitely even, you know, something that I need to be more mindful of and better at, but it's something that we can grow into, because that's part of slow living, is just knowing that you don't need to rush the process. It's a journey of learning and growing, and it's okay to make mistakes along the way and have empathy for yourself and the struggles that you're inevitably going to make as you choose to live a more conscious lifestyle. Slow living is also about romanticizing life and romanticizing the mundane or routine aspects of your everyday life. We have to cook dinner, we have to do chores around the house, we have to take care of our animals or our children if you have them. And sometimes we can do that begrudgingly or with a negative attitude, or doing it mindlessly because we're just not really invested in it. It's not something that's considered fun. But if you start romanticizing those parts of your days, not only do they become more enjoyable, but you're able to do them more mindfully, with more intention, and just infuse those sort of balanced and beautiful sort of slow aspects to your everyday life. Kind of in conjunction with that, slow living is also about cultivating a mindset of gratitude. Gratitude for the big things, gratitude for the small things, and it's definitely something that I need to work on. We do have a tendency to lean towards the negative bias, but if we just start even appreciating and noticing those little things like the beautiful clear sky or the taste of a nice hot cuppa, it romanticizes life, but also romanticizes those sort of slower aspects and enables you to really just indulge in the slow aspects of everyday life, I suppose. And kind of leaning into, you know, this idea of consumerism and consuming less, it's also about removing the clutter, both physical and mental, from your life. So minimalism is definitely something that can tie in a lot to slow living, because you're not necessarily having to continually, obviously, buy and consume things, but also live in a space that is so cluttered that you're having to keep up and maintain that space and maintain the organization and the cleaning and the decluttering of all of the stuff that's going on. And not only does having clutter, you know, sort of influence your physical space, it also has a lot of bearing on your mental space as well, and creates a lot of unnecessary stress. But also slow living is about reducing the mental clutter as well. And I think connection to people is awesome, but being so dependent upon technology, our phones and social media is certainly one of those ways that we are piling on more mental clutter than is necessary. It's because we're constantly getting emails and notifications. People are able to contact us and expect a reply so quick. It's fast communication, but it's also meaning that we're constantly anxious and constantly on edge in trying to remember to communicate with all of these people, and to remember to update our status and check what's the latest thing that's happening, and be connected to people and be aware of the latest trends and be on top of all of these things, because it's so easy and convenient to just tap into the internet and tap into our phones. It's definitely creating a layer of unnecessary stress and mental clutter in our lives. So being able to have, screen time limits or phone-free days, or even just, having a bit of an inventory of the apps and platforms that you use, and thinking about things that are not adding value to your life and just deleting them so that you're not wasting even more time. Just being so mindless. And I think when we think about slow living, it is about mindfulness. It's about doing things intentionally, communicating, relationships, physically doing things, whether it's, in your day-to-day life, your routines, your habits, whatnot. It's about doing it with purpose, with intention, and with more, I guess, of a slow pace and with more focus. And when we are so connected to technology and just mindlessly scrolling and mindlessly having these conversations and these relationships that are so surface level, it not only impacts us in terms of our mental health, but it also means that we're just constantly caught in a cycle, and we're just never doing anything super purposefully or with intention, which is such the ethos of slow living. And I think even the best of us can be better at all of these things. It's certainly something that I am trying to work on, but I think being able to have, those boundaries when it comes to technology, being able to romanticize aspects of your everyday life, minimize the physical and mental clutter in your house, in your space, in your life, are so intrinsic to starting to cultivate that more slow lifestyle. But what about if you're someone like me who, thrives on being productive, ticking things off your to-do list, getting things done, having a clean and tidy home? Does that mean that you can't adopt a slow living lifestyle? Definitely not. One of the things I've been looking into a lot lately is this idea of slow productivity, which really does seem like a little bit of an oxymoron, but it's about, like I said, doing things with intentionality. So about decreasing your priorities. Maybe each day you're sort of having 3 to 5 small and achievable things you're working on, rather than a whole list and rushing about chaotically trying to get things done. It's about having intentions as opposed to goals. And it's also just about decreasing your schedule. Think about your week or your month at a glance. And as you're putting things in your diary, don't overload yourself. Space things out so that you have more slow and relaxed days that are maybe a little bit more chill or at home, as opposed to, pumping out appointments and visiting people and doing things and just smashing it out every single day. Slow living is all about having that sense of balance. Yes, there are things that we need to do, and we want to be productive, and we want to feel, that intrinsic motivation that we get from achieving things, but also not tie our identity to achieving those things, and not having those to-do lists be so extensive that they create even more stress. For me, reading is definitely one of those hobbies that allow me to infuse some slow living into my everyday life. And I've definitely read a heap of books that kind of revolve around that concept. So I want to give you a few book recommendations. I have a couple that I've actually lent out to some friends, but I'll put some pictures of them up on the screen. So one of the ones that was part of my May reading list was The Year of Less. I've lent both that and The Art of Frugal Hedonism to my friend Robin. And then I've lent The Me Without to my cousin Crystal. And those three are ones that I come back to time and time again. They might not be solely focused around the concept of slow living, but they've definitely got, you know, these ideas of consuming less, minimalism, slow living, saving, all of these things kind of woven together. I also like this one, the little book of Hygge, The Danish Way to Live Well, from the Happiness Research Institute, because I feel like this idea of Hygge and then also this idea of Lagom, which is the Swedish art of balanced living, definitely really embody the slow living lifestyle. We've also got The More of Less, Finding the Life You Want Under Everything You Own. And it's by Joshua Becker, the creator of Becoming Minimalist, because I do think, you know, this idea of consuming less and being less attached to material possessions is definitely one of the core pillars of slow living. And then obviously this one, Seeking Slow, Reclaim Moments of Calm in Your Day. And then my last one is Rest Girl, a journey from exhausted and stressed to entirely blessed. And that actually reminded me, I've also got one by Ruth Chow Simmons called When Striving Cease, which I probably need to reread all of these books. I feel like being able to pick them up and get like little bits and pieces of, you know, wisdom or ideas about how to incorporate, you know, slow living principles into my everyday life is definitely something that it's like I said before, it's a journey. It's not something that you kind of arrive at the destination of. It's something that you're continually practicing and growing into and evolving into as you go. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little bit of an intro to slow living. It's something that I attempt to practice and cultivate in my everyday life. So definitely check out like a heap of my vlogs, because they're some of the things that I like to romanticize aspects of everyday life. So it might give you some inspiration and motivation. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. I upload new ones every single week. With that being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys.